This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 3 April 2021. Before we get started, I just want to say welcome to my new students this term, and I hope we have a great 10 weeks together. All right, this week, we're getting right back into the news. According to the AP, former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf had his email account hacked as part of the breach that is known as SolarWinds. The incident, which is one of the largest cybersecurity breaches in U.S. history, also reportedly allowed hackers to access the private schedules of former Energy Secretary Dan Brouillette and other senior officials at the agency, according to the Department of Energy. They also stated they have found no evidence that the network that maintains senior official schedules was compromised, so it looks like it was a very localized event. With regard to DHS, they have not directly confirmed and what the extent of the breach on their network or on their accounts might be, but they did state a small number of employees' accounts were targeted. And small may be relative, as there are 240,000 employees that fall under the DHS banner. Moving on within SolarWinds, the U.S. military, specifically U.S. Cyber Command and the Department of Homeland Security, have released a malware analysis report that spotlights 18 pieces of malicious code allegedly used by the Russian hackers in the SolarWinds event. The report sheds light on a historic espionage campaign that U.S. officials have, at times, been cautious to publicly detail. The report details how U.S. government cybersecurity analysts believe the alleged Russian operatives moved from network to network and builds on the private sector reporting that already exists. Cybercom and DHS, specifically CISA, said the goal of the release was to reduce exposure to malicious activity for U.S. organizations. Unsurprisingly, Moscow has denied involvement in the incident. And as we all know already, it almost doesn't matter. The damage is already done. The report outlines specific tools that the U.S. government was able to find, or at least confirm. So this may just help organizations figure out where to mitigate, or to look for artifacts or things like that, so that they can really get their systems clean. One final piece of SolarWinds news is that the SolarWinds CISO has been given full autonomy to stop product releases from happening purely due to time-to-market reasons. So, if the CISO believes there's a problem with a piece of software they're going to put on market, he can halt it, or she can halt it for that specific event until it gets mitigated. This change in corporate authority over at SolarWinds is part of a larger redesign now to help make their security more robust. Which also includes some of the things they're doing is, instead of one single system build at a single location, the company is going to go to a much more distributed model, possibly running 2 or 3 parallel builds through 2 or 3 parallel build chains. This is in order to bifurcate a little bit of where things are in the development process until they kind of get to the end state and have to pull that all back together so that they can get to a final code release. So this is great. I think there's a good idea here to at least attempt, but SolarWinds is still in the process of trying to figure out how the attacker managed to infiltrate the company's build environment in the first place. At one point in the investigation, they had as many as 16 different possibilities for what might have happened. Now, as time has gone on and we've realized the extent of the nightmare, that number has come down to about 3 through a process of elimination. But that's as far as they've gotten. They have not figured out which one of those 3 is likely. So what I would do is I might go after the one that would be the most damaging first and shore up stuff there, and then go to the next one and the next one. I may have to fix all 3 of those holes, even if they are not really the holes that everything came through. Okay. I'm going to forgo going over the other nightmare, Microsoft Exchange's exploit, um, because there's some other interesting thing in the news this week. So, with that said, North Korea state sponsors, actors created a fake security company. So, the North Korean hackers are at it again, targeting security researchers. However, unlike the social media campaign last time, this time the actors have set up a phony offensive security company. Has a website and the social media that would be associated with such a company. The fake company is called Security Elite, and that's SECURI Elite. And they say they're based out of Turkey and that they offer penetration testing, software security assessments, and exploits. The homepage of this fake company is really sleek and it looks no different than any other information security, cybersecurity company out there that's somewhere in the world. So at least they're emulating well. The hackers cooked up more than a dozen new social media profiles, purported to belong to recruiters for security companies and researchers and employees of the place. That work went into creating the profiles, was fairly impressive. Well, another term for that type of thing is called backstopping, right? So the further you can make something look real, the harder it is for someone to discern, even through a level of research, however much anyone may apply, is it's going to be to really figure out what's not part of reality and what's a little bit more fantasy. And with this level of effort, many in the security community are saying what should be abundantly obvious. The actors are dangerous, and they likely have more exploits that they haven't used yet, which is why they keep trying to nab golden tickets, as it were. According to a whistleblower from Ubiquiti, their breach is catastrophically worse than what is being reported. The network device maker Ubiquiti has confirmed that it was a target of an extortion attempt following a January security breach, revealed by a whistleblower earlier this past week. Ubiquiti, however, did not confirm the claims that user data was accessed during the incident or that attackers stole any of their source code. They also added that the incident response experts hired to investigate the breach found no evidence of customer information being targeted during the breach. But Ubiquiti is recommending that customers reset passwords and enable two-factor authentication, just in case. The whistleblower's take, though, is that Ubiquiti downplayed the intrusion to protect its stock price. According to what has made it out into the press, the company started the investigation in December 2020, and the hackers had administrative-level permissions to Ubiquiti databases hosted in Amazon Web Services. Not only did they have administrative privileges, they had root privileges to all AWS systems that were Ubiquiti's, counting all of the S3 data buckets, application logs, databases, user credentials, and secrets to forge single sign-on cookies. This level of access allows authentication to cloud-based services, such as the Ubiquiti line of wired and wireless products dispersed across the world. According to the whistleblower's comments, it looks like the intruders targeted the credentials to the databases and created Linux instances with networking connectivity to those databases. So, it's possible that they could have had access to customer systems remotely when Ubiquiti sent out the breach notification. We'll find out. Now, since my class starts back up this coming week, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in education. The University of Maryland had data leaked due to a ransomware attack. This particular leak follows a similar extortion attempt impacting two other U.S. universities in March. The Cloth ransomware group has posted financial documents and passport information allegedly belonging to University of Maryland and University of California online affiliates. the actor began publishing screenshots of data from those universities. The screenshots included records that allegedly belong to University of Maryland, Baltimore, and show a federal tax document requesting for tuition remission paperwork and application for the Board of Nursing passports and tax summary documents. What else was in this leaked data? Well, the snapshots exposed sensitive information that included photos and names of individuals, home addresses, social security numbers, immigration statuses, dates of birth, and their passport numbers. For the University of California in Merced, they also appear to be subject to this particular group's tactics. Screenshots published by the group via Kella's threat intelligence suite, Dark Beast, include a list of individuals and their social security numbers, retirement documentation, and the 2019-2020 benefit adjustment requests. Some other additional data included late enrollment benefit applications, forms for employees, and the University of California PATH Blue Shield Health Savings Plan enrollment requests. CLOP is one of many cyber threat groups that employ a double extortion technique in which ransomware may be deployed on a compromised machine first, and then the cybercriminal threatens to make corporate or sensitive stolen databases public on a leak site unless blackmail demands are met. It looks like, according to a UMB, that's University of Maryland, Baltimore spokesperson, that told press that CLOP may have done something as far back as December when they breached the Acelion file transfer system, or that FTA application that we have brought up a few times on this podcast in the past. That particular system at UMB was used by students, faculty, and staff to transfer encrypted files. When they discovered the breach last week, and only because the hackers had posted the information that they had accessed on some darknet websites, the UMB was able to finally take action. The spokesman went on to state there is no evidence that the file transfer system was compromised at any other time up to the date it was decommissioned and replaced in February. So if you read that statement and you piece it apart, what they're saying is from at least December, maybe all the way up until February, so 3 months worth of time, maybe longer, it was exposed. But after February, we're okay. I don't know if that gives anybody much comfort. To UMB's credit, they reached out to the owners of the compromised files and offered them security systems, including free credit monitoring and identity restoration services. Now, I don't know about my listeners out there, but I have so much free credit monitoring now, it may last the rest of my lifetime. I don't know that that will make any real difference with the consistent deluge of information that is just lifted from corporate entities. Wait, there's more education news. Brown University's data center was shut down this past week following a cyber incident. Brown University has been taking, quote, aggressive steps, unquote, over the past week to protect its networks after detecting a cybersecurity threat, according to the school's chief information officer. The threat is described as something that is occurring on the university's Microsoft Windows-based technology infrastructure, and the CIO said that staff were prompted to shut down connections to the university's central data center and systems within it. Many of Brown's university cloud-based platforms, including Canvas, Workday, and Zoom, are online, but others are disabled, such as the institution's Banner Enterprise Resource Planning software, their VPN services, remote apps, and some websites hosted on brown.edu. The CIO has asked faculty and staff working on the university's campus to discontinue using Windows-based machines and instead use other devices or computers that run alternative operating systems. Well, they have options of going to macOS, iOS, Android, Linux. I'm sure that will meet everybody's need, considering Windows may not be the most proliferated business-based operating system on the client side and of the stack. Oh, I forgot. They could go use Google's Chrome OS too, right? Everything will be fine. Finally, the CIO is quoted as, at this point, we are unable to predict the precise timeline for disruption to the systems and request that faculty and staff temporarily halt use of those Windows-based systems or Windows machines that connect to the VPN until they can be verified as safe. Let's move on to infrastructure. U.S. federal authorities have indicted an individual for allegedly tampering with a public water system in Kansas. The incident occurred in late March 2019. The individual allegedly gained access to the Post Rock Rural Water District computer system and shut down cleaning and disinfection procedures. The hacker, for everyone's reference, is only 22 years old. The unauthorized computer access and reckless damage to a protected computer system charge carries a maximum prison sentence of 20 years and 5 years, respectively. So it could be facing up to 25 years, but likely, the way we see cybersecurity incidents and the punishments will not be that long. Unfortunately, we do not know to what extent the individual's actions were. The indictment did not specify whether they circumvented any security controls in the alleged break-in or how specifically they broke in. Just the fact that they did. This occurs just a couple of months after the water treatment facility near Tampa, Florida, had been impacted. Now, this incident happened a year ago, but it's just kind of interesting that the dominoes for such things are starting to fall a little closer together. And finally, let's do a good news story. SpaceX is encrypting its telemetry. SpaceX has appeared to encrypt its telemetry, according to amateur radio users that have been able to access the telemetry data streams, because SpaceX had to tell the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, and the National Telecommunication and Information Administration, NTIA, which frequencies it uses to communicate with its rockets. It looks like SpaceX made this move to encrypt their video feeds after several from a Falcon 9 Starlink launch were intercepted and decoded, giving access to video that's normally only seen by employees of SpaceX. Some of the video that was making the rounds on social media showed views of Earth from the second stage rocket and from inside the liquid oxygen tank of the second stage rocket. Maybe there's some proprietary information in there that SpaceX just simply did not want out in the public domain, which is not inherently a bad thing, especially as the privatization of space continues. Nor do we want some either low sophistication or high sophistication cyber threat actor to understand maybe how to exploit a rocket that could be full of civilian passengers. That's all for the news this week. I'm your professor of cyber risk. We'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.